The prosecutor's office in Sudan says at least 8 military officers will be charged with crimes against humanity over last month's killing of pro-democracy demonstrators. Dozens of people were killed when security forces broke up a peaceful sit-in in protest against the ongoing rule by army generals. The BBC's Tommy Oladipo has more.
The investigation accuses some officers of violating orders and sending troops to disperse alleged rogue elements among the protesters in one part of the square. It was here that some security forces opened fire on protesters. Under military law, the officers could face the death penalty or life in prison. The committee says it did not find any incidents of rape, contrary to claims by medics. Even though the death toll reported is higher than the initial figure given by the government, opposition activists say this is still short of the nearly 130 they documented.
Tommy Oladipo reporting. In sport, All Blacks coach Steve Hansen has expressed his disappointment at the number of errors his side have committed in their rugby championship matches, but is confident they will be back to their best when they get to the World Cup in Japan. The All Blacks conceded 19 turnovers in their 16-all draw with South Africa in Wellington last night. Hansen says he's seen enough to believe they're on the right track.
You look back at history, the June series are always us. You know, we scramble away, we don't play great rugby. And this is our June series. And we're reasonably happy, not so much with the performance, but we are happy with what we're seeing and where we know we can go.
Steve Hansen also confirmed lock Brodie Retallick has dislocated his shoulder. In Brisbane last night, Australia beat Argentina 16-10. Shayna Jack, who withdrew from the Australia team ahead of the World Swimming Championships, says she's tested positive for a banned substance. And Egan Bernal is poised to become the first Colombian to win the Tour de France after retaining the overall lead on the penultimate stage. That's the news.
My boyfriend is back and you're gonna be
Kia ora, Mark Amery here, and on Standing Room Only, The Boyfriend, an extraordinary debut novel by Leah Southgate about difficult relationships. The cassette tape lives on in Christchurch. Outstanding artists Jacqueline Fahey, Bill Hammond, Lawrence Eberhardt, Fiona Jack and Elizabeth Poynton, and back home again, leading young composer Selena Fisher. Back to the Trouble, Standing Room Only, this afternoon at 12:30 on RNZ National.
This is RNZ National, on air, online and on your mobile. Now the short forecast from Met Service to midnight tonight. Northland and Auckland, cloudy periods with a few showers mainly north of Orewa. Coromandel Peninsula, Western Bay of Plenty and Gisborne from Tiger Bay northwards, cloudy periods and isolated showers. Eastern Bay of Plenty, southern Gisborne to Wairarapa, also Waikato to Manawatu, including the central high country. Mostly fine, high cloud increasing from afternoon. Horowhenua to Wellington, cloudy periods and isolated showers about Wellington this morning. Nelson, Bulla, Marlborough and Canterbury, mostly cloudy, with isolated showers about Nelson, Bulla and the Marlborough Sounds. Patchy light rain in South Canterbury this evening. Otago and Southland. Cloudy occasional rain about Stewart Island and scattered falls spreading to Southland and Clutha this afternoon. Westland and Fiordland, occasional rain with some heavy falls about the ranges of Westland from afternoon. The Chatham Islands, cloudy periods. RNZ National at 6 minutes past 9. More news and weather at 10.
Sunday morning at RNZ National. Nice to have your company. The minuses of marriage before 10. The pluses and minuses of nudge theory after 10 with visiting economist David Halpin. How come we ended up eating only one kind of banana? A bit later, Dr. Kerry Evans will be on, as well as new books about how to perform under pressure, why our cats are getting fatter and how to slim them down. The big heat over the Arctic, we'll give that a mention. Now it's Media Watch. This week, Colin Peacock looks at the surge in spending on public service PR, and he begins with his thoughts on broadcasters here boosting climate change scepticism.
New Zealanders are more concerned about climate change than ever before. But only half of us know what we personally need to do to make a difference.
What's worse, only half of us believe our actions will be effective. Tom McRae has the latest in our Because It Matters series and joins us now. Tom.
Yes, well, when it comes to climate change stories, they're normally all doom and gloom, but there is room to be optimistic.
News Hub at 6 last Wednesday night with news of rising public concern in New Zealand about climate change. And 2 days later, the country's biggest publisher of news, Stuff, announced on Friday it's joined more than 60 other media outlets around the world in a big new global bid to boost coverage of the issue. Stuff's editor-in-chief Patrick Crudson said that the aim of this is to make the realities of climate change feel urgent, tangible and unignorable for New Zealanders. But while Stuff certainly sounds serious about this, and News Hub badged it as an issue that matters, some broadcasters here have been giving out much more mixed messages about whether it really is urgent and what we should believe.
The phrase fake news is about news that's not real. It's manufactured, pardon me. It's not entirely as reported. Fake news is real stuff, and it degrades the quality of the organisations who peddle it.
It was News Talk ZB presenter Tim Wilson on his afternoon show The Hour last Monday. And those were good points about fake news. And Tim Wilson told his listeners he's got a nose for it.
No, that doesn't seem right. No, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'll buy that. I've started to do this with stories on the effects of climate change.
But what was worrying Tim Wilson specifically last Monday?
But when I read something like I did recently, get a note of this, about California's wildfires, then I started to do that test. Apparently California's wildfires are red. They're getting bigger every year, and since 1972, the area that burns every summer, it's grown by 800%. And the cause is hotter summers, and the cause is climate change. Apparently.
Interesting. But where did Tim Wilson find out about that? Well, possibly from a colleague at NZME, the New Zealand Herald writer Simon Wilson. In his Herald column 3 days earlier, Simon Wilson had said the biggest climate change problem in this country is the National Party. And this provoked a bit of debate in the media, including on Tim Wilson's other ZB show, The Weekend Collective, last Sunday.
So Simon Wilson is saying that National's position on climate change will undermine our economy, damage us socially. He says delays now will lead to crisis management later, and the people worst affected will include farmers, coastal dwellers, and the poor. He also says National says it knows we have to combat climate change, but undermines every effort to address the issue.
But what's all that got to do about California's wildfires? Simon Wilson's article about climate change politics here ended with this.
Since 1972, the area that burns every summer has grown by 800%. Bigger, fiercer fires caused by summers that are 1.8 degrees Celsius warmer. It might not sound like much, but heat has an exponential effect on fire. We've already seen the same thing in Christchurch's Port Hills and near Nelson. We'll keep seeing it.
Well, plenty of other articles overseas have also stated that climate change is the reason that California's wildfires were 5 times or even 8 times bigger than in previous years this year. But on News Talk ZB on Monday, that didn't pass Tim Wilson's sniff test.
But guess what? That's only half the story. Have a listen to this from Chuck DeVore in Forbes last year. California's deadliest wildfires have been decades in the making, with overlapping environmental rules, both state and federal, making fuel load reductions in forests. Now, fuel load is the stuff that fires feed on. It's bark, trees, underbrush, dry grassy fields.